Part 16. Dimensional Chosen, Only I Know Saitama is the Strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 151. Good Chance. Seeing that Kizaru's ability was temporarily suppressed by the sea water, Fang Ye naturally wouldn't let it go. He kicked his feet in mid-air and changed direction instantly. In the sea water, Kizaru saw Fang Ye turning around and rushing towards him, and he felt very anxious. But his abilities have been suppressed by the sea water, and he can't even use the simplest elementalization. Fortunately, he had practiced with Halustone before, so he was not completely out of power now. Kizaru mobilized the remaining strength in his body and wrapped his armor around his abdomen, so that he would not be killed instantly by Fang Ye's punch. The next second, Fang Ye's fist suddenly arrived. A serious punch. Boom. In mid-air, Fang Ye's fist instantly hit Kizaru's abdomen. The sea water surrounding the two of them was shaken away and fell down like raindrops. The barely condensed armed color cannot completely offset Fang Ye's power. Kizaru felt as if he was hit in the abdomen by a rapidly advancing warship, and his whole body was almost broken into two pieces. Even if he raised his arms, the terrifying punch power would inevitably spread all over his body. Puff. Kizaru spat out a mouthful of blood and hit the ice like a cannonball. Boom. A loud noise, like a bolt from the blue, attracted the attention of those who were fighting around him. That is, General Kizaru. Is that the killing god above? General Kizaru was hammered into the ice by that killer god? What kind of pirate is this? I feel like I'm on par with Whitebeard's captain. That's not the case. I saw that it was the man who used sea water to attack General Kizaru. Otherwise, how could he hurt General Kizaru? Unknowingly, Fang Ye was given the title of a murderer by the Navy. And this title spread among the crowd, and the eyes of the Navy when they looked at Fang Ye were gradually filled with fear. A big hole was made in the solid ice surface, and the surrounding area was cracked, as if it would collapse at any time. Hateful. Kizaru's angry voice came from the ice cave, and then a golden light flashed inside. After the feeling of powerlessness disappeared, Kizaru immediately used the power of the fruit to transfer himself. As the light particles spread, Kizaru's figure appeared again in mid-air. But this time, the distance from Fang Ye was several times farther than before. Kizaru covered his stomach, with anger that could not be concealed in his eyes. No one had ever made him feel so aggrieved. It was obvious that a person whose strength was far inferior to himself, it made him so embarrassed. But why? There is nothing he can do about it? Not to mention how terrifying Fang Ye was, he regarded his light-speed kick as nothing but defense. That seeing, hearing, and color that he has never failed to achieve is something he has never been able to achieve even as a general. Kizaru put one hand on his abdomen and looked at Fang Ye with cold eyes. Old Huang Yuan, have you ever been hit by a fist as big as a casserole? Fang Ye taunted, with a relaxed look on his face. Suddenly, Kizaru became even more angry. This bastard on the sea actually used his previous words to mock him. But Kizaru had never seen anything in the world, and he quickly changed his anger was suppressed. The pain in his abdomen made him unable to bear it. What a terrible strength, even my insides were about to burst. Recalling the terrifying punch just now, Kizaru was not only sweating. If he hadn't forcibly wrapped his armor, Fang Ye's punch would have probably penetrated his abdomen. Boy, you are very strong, and there is nothing I can do against you for the time being. Holding back the pain, Kizaru deliberately made a relaxed expression again. But I want to leave, can you stop me? With that said, Kizaru's body elementalized and turned into a golden light and left the place. Fang Ye stood on the ice and watched Kizaru's leaving back without moving. He couldn't catch up. Boom. Marine Fando Island. Whitebeard and Garp collided for the third time. A huge explosion sounded, and the two of them were like two mountains, unmoving no matter what happened. After several collisions, the two of them were almost not injured. But the nearby ones, many people in the pirate navy were accidentally injured by the aftermath of the collision between the two, and flew backwards vomiting blood. After so many years, Garp, your fists are still so hard. Whitebeard grinned, and the look he looked at Garp was not as fierce as the others. You two, you are worthy of being the strongest man in the world. Garp also laughed, and the two of them were like old friends they hadn't seen for a long time, telling each other old stories. Come again. Whitebeard punched out again. The cracks in the air were winding and crisscrossing like tree roots, which looked very scary. Garp also, the speed of the iron fist was so fast that it almost tore the air apart. Boom. The two collided again. Although their battle seemed boring, everyone knew how terrifying it was. The dark clouds in the sky were shaken away, and sunlight began to shine on the ground. The two of them were grinning, not looking like they were fighting desperately. Suddenly, the solace of Whitebeard's feet, the ground melted, and a red figure rushed out and punched Whitebeard. Helldog! The lava condensed into the shape of Akainu, and his right fist extended infinitely, hitting Whitebeard's abdomen instantly. Akainu! Garp was stunned. He didn't expect such a change to happen when the two were fighting. Garp quickly withdrew his strength and stretched out a big hand to grab Akainu. Akainu's punch was extremely powerful, almost instantaneously. It penetrated Whitebeard's abdomen. Immediately afterwards, Akainu's molten right fist quickly swelled, injecting lava into Whitebeard's body. Ah! Whitebeard roared, wrapping his internal organs with domineering energy. Even so, a large number of internal organs were burned, and the injuries were serious. You brat, go to hell! Whitebeard roared, using all his strength, he punched Akainu on the head. Bang! Akainu's head was deformed by the blow, and he flew away far away. Garp missed a chance, but he didn't pursue it. Looking at the seriously injured Whitebeard showing unbearable expression on his face. Whitebeard, I didn't expect that the last time we fought, the winner would be decided in this way. After saying that, Garp didn't want to see Whitebeard die tragically, but due to his position, it was even more impossible to treat him. Had to turn around and leave. Return to the Navy headquarters residence. There were several figures hiding behind the mansion. At this moment, seeing Whitebeard being seriously injured and the wound still burning with flames, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Wow, ha 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 ha, Daddy, Daddy, I never thought you would have this day. Should we go out now and give Whitebeard the final blow? Behind the mansion, the two people chatted unscrupulously. Their voices were also heard by the nearby navy, and then someone pointed in that direction and shouted. There's someone behind you. Who is it? Come out faster. Look, there are real people, and they're not the navy, it's a pirate. Everyone around them was attracted, and those people walked out without hesitation at all. Gee ha 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 ha. It's so nice to be able to come and see you off when you're dying, Dad. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 152. Teach. Although he was seriously injured, Whitebeard still held his sword and stood upright. Not far away, weird laughter suddenly attracted everyone's attention. Pedicle, Tiki. Ace saw Blackbeard on the ruins and gritted his teeth. It was him who violated the iron rules of the Whitebeard pirates and killed the captain of the 4th Division, Thatch, for the devil fruit. It was also because of him that current situation. Crossfire. Ace crossed his index fingers and shot a cross-shaped flame at Blackbeard. Blackbeard stretched out his hand, and a black vortex appeared in his palm. You haven't grown your memory yet, Ace, your abilities have no effect on me at all. The flame hit Blackbeard's palm and was completely absorbed by the black vortex without producing any effect. Hateful. Ace gritted his teeth, but he really couldn't do anything about Blackbeard. This was a fact. Teach, Are you here to die? Whitebeard stared at Blackbeard coldly, without concealing his murderous intent. If he could, he would crush Blackbeard to death without hesitation. What are you talking about? Dad, I am your dear son. Blackbeard Tikai smiled ferociously and looked at Whitebeard with contempt. The moment you violate the ship's iron rules, you will be expelled from the Whitebeard pirates. As he said that, Whitebeard dragged his huge body and punched Blackbeard. The space was like a mirror, shattered by Whitebeard's punch. Then, Whitebeard's fist hit a violent shockwave and went straight to Blackbeard. Dad, are you too old to remember what I said? Blackbeard smiled and raised his left hand. The strange black vortex appeared in Blackbeard's hand, once again blocking the shockwave from Whitebeard. Gee ha 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 ha. As Blackbeard laughed wildly, Whitebeard's shockwave was completely absorbed again, leaving no trace on Teach. What kind of ability is this, actually stronger than Whitebeard's shock fruit? Warring States stood not far away, looking at this incredible scene, dumbfounded. At this time, Garp had returned to his side, and he pondered for a moment and said, "It seems that the vortex in his hand has a restraining effect on the fruit's ability, so Whitebeard and Ace's attacks have no effect at all." After the analysis, Garp took a deep look at Whitebeard and sighed. "It seems like a big trouble." On the ruins, Teach, who easily defused Whitebeard's attack, laughed maniacally. "Dad, you are old and have forgotten what I said, but I am here to see you off, ha 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 ha." As he spoke, Tikai's hands ignited strange black flames and pressed hard against the ground. The black flames spread quickly and surrounded the battlefield. Suddenly, a claw stretched out from the flames and spread to Whitebeard's feet. "Trap him tightly." "Dad!" Ace yelled and was about to rush over. Whitebeard waved his hand to signal others not to move. At the same time, he punched out, and the terrifying shockwave hit Teach again. "It's useless." Blackbeard kicked his feet and rushed towards Whitebeard. Dark water. The black vortex absorbed Whitebeard's attack again, and Blackbeard grinned. "How about Dad, my darkness can make your fruit powerless. In other words, you can no longer cause earthquakes in front of me." As he said that, he hit the wound on Whitebeard's abdomen with his left fist. Whitebeard clenched his teeth tightly, and it was obvious that this blow caused him strong pain. Blackbeard refused to let go, and locked Whitebeard's left fist tightly with his right fist. His left hand hit Whitebeard's chin hard. Bang! The dull sound echoed on the battlefield, and everyone's heart tightened. "Dad! Ha ha ha, beg for mercy, Dad, it's so embarrassing." Blackbeard laughed arrogantly, with disdain in his eyes. Suddenly, Whitebeard grabbed Kong Yunki with one hand and held it high behind him. "What?" Without saying anything, Whitebeard slashed hard. Poof! Kong Yunki slashed across Blackbeard's shoulder heavily, and blood splashed. The black flame field was lifted instantly. Just when Tikai was about to struggle up, he only felt pain in his hands. Bai Huzi held down Blackbeard's hands with his feet and Kong Yunki respectively, and strangled his neck with one big hand. "Teach, it seems you haven't grown up yet. Conceit and rashness, these are your weaknesses." Blackbeard's neck was stuck, and he was speechless. At the same time, Whitebeard's right hand condensed white light, and the shocking fruit activated. "Live, stop!" Tikai shouted in panic, looked at Whitebeard begging, and said, "I'm your son, you really want to kill me?" Just when Whitebeard was hesitating, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. He raised his knife and chopped off Blackbeard's head. "You boy!" Whitebeard looked at the pirate in front of him. It was Fang Ye. He stood with a knife in his hand. The western knife in his hand was stained with blood. He glanced at Blackbeard's rolled down head with disgust. "Dad, kindness to your enemies is cruelty to yourself," Fang Ye said as he glanced at several crew members of the Blackbeard pirates not far away, who were surrounding them with weapons raised. "You bunch of bastards, you guys are as dirty as Blackbeard, go to hell." Ace was furious. Seeing Whitebeard's injury, his anger poured out like a torrential flame. Fire punch. The huge fists beat several people to pieces, and the weaker ones died directly under the fire fist. Destroy the Blackbeard pirates, leaving no one behind. Marco turned into a blue flame and kicked Yajiliu. Bang. The two of them were not at the same level of strength. Facing Marco's attack, Yajiliu was kicked out before he could dodge. Kill. Destroy the traitors and destroy the Blackbeard pirates. Several team captains rushed up at this moment. The foil sword Baista took the sword handed over by Fangya and rushed to the front. At this time, the Blackbeard pirates were in the stage of just being established, and their strength was as strong as that of the Whitebeard pirates. The thieves were not on the same level at all, and they were bulldozed in an instant. Fangya stood on the spot and threw a blazing flame in his hand, which burned on Whitebeard's body and burned it to ashes in just a few breaths. Although Blackbeard the head fell, and the dead could no longer die. But Fangya did not hesitate to choose the last hit. This is Fangya's experience from watching countless movies. Well. Watching Fangya's last strike, Whitebeard let out a long sigh. "Sure enough, I am old. Dad, don't sigh." Fangya turned around, looked at the expressionless Whitebeard, and sighed as well. "Tiki is too cunning, Dad, don't be discouraged, the real enemy is still in front of you," Fangya said, pointing to the navy not far away. "Dad, we are still waiting for you." Looking in the direction Fangya pointed, Whitebeard suddenly spotted a group of navy, looking at them tremblingly. Bang! Whitebeard knocked Kongyunki heavily to the ground, and said boldly, "Yes, the real battle is not over yet. Guys, come on. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 153. What a hard fight. Ace sighed and rushed forward with excitement. Similarly, the pirates behind him were not afraid of death. They each held their own weapons and charged forward with a roar. They are not afraid of death, they are afraid of fighting alone. Now, even a group of people who had returned to the pirate ship disobeyed orders and rushed down. Regardless of whether their relationship is good or bad, they are gathered together at this moment, facing the navy to exert their last value. The morale continues to rise, and the roar goes straight into the sky. Is this the Blackbeard pirates? Zenguo squinted his eyes and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. His eyes looked behind him. Kizaru's face was pale, and he was obviously seriously injured. If he is allowed to go to the battlefield again, he will probably perish if nothing unexpected happens. Akainu was knocked out before, and his whereabouts are still unknown. As for the Blue Pheasant, without the pressure from the other two generals, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates surrounded Aokiji. They fought and retreated, using will tactics. Whenever someone was injured or threatened, others would take action to resolve it. The battle lasted for a long time, but Aokiji did not cause any substantial damage to the pirates. If this continues, the navy will be defeated. And Cap. Warring States looked at Garp beside him, and saw that he had a tangled expression on his face. He looked at Wang Luffy and Ace on the battlefield from time to time. Well. Sighing softly, Warring States' eyes gradually became firmer. Garp, I have never begged anyone in my life. Today I have a favor from you. Garp looked at him, and his eyes also became serious. He had already felt that huge changes had taken place in today's battle. Seeing the pirates showing a devastating trend, breaking through the Navy's defense line again and again. Who is as big-hearted as him? And you can guess what Warring States will say next. Looking ahead, warring states whispered. I hope you can live up to the justice behind you. What would you do if I took action against your two adopted grandchildren? Garp's pupils were trembling, and he was staring at warring state's face. After a long time, Garp sighed softly and said, as you get older, you tend to get sleepy easily. I'll take a rest first and leave the rest to you. After saying that, Garp clenched his fists, turned around and left. He walked very slowly and with great strength. Every step he took crushed the gravel under his feet into powder. It's obvious that he is suppressing the huge pain in his heart. Why doesn't he want to save his two grandsons? However, what was ringing in his ears now was none other than the screams of the Navy who spent time with him day and night. The miserable voice and the word justice behind it made him breathless. Watching Garp go away, Senguo breathed a sigh of relief. He was really scared. He was afraid that Garp would stop him for the sake of his family. In that case, the Navy's defeat is doomed. Cap, I'm sorry. Sighing softly, Senguo looked serious. He jumped up and reached an extremely far distance, almost flying to the center of the battlefield. Marshal of the Warring States period. The Warring States Marshal finally took action. Ha ha ha, you bunch of bastards at sea, let's see where you go now. That dying old man is definitely no match for the Warring States Marshal. The pirates are finished. Come on, the ship will be blown up by him. Seeing Sengoku standing in front, the originally despairing Navy instantly ignited hope, and its morale surged. Warring States, long time no see. Looking at Warring States who suddenly appeared on the battlefield, Whitebeard grinned, as if he had met an old friend. Snored. Long time no see, you gave me a big surprise. Warring States snorted, his face was cold and murderous. Haha, I haven't seen you for many years, but your temper is still the same. It's hard to say more, but today let me see the strength of the strongest man in the world. Warring States roared, and at the same time, countless golden lights began to emit from his body. His whole body was wrapped in golden light, as if the Buddha had come to the world, extremely majestic. Big Buddha, it's the Warring States period again, he takes action. He wants to deal with Dad. Everyone in the team discovered the glorious Warring States and Whitebeard standing opposite the Warring States. Many people were anxious and wanted to help Whitebeard. Stop! Whitebeard shouted and said to everyone. This is a battle between the two of us, no one is allowed to interfere. Whitebeard laughed loudly and stood still, quietly waiting for the Warring States period to transform into a giant Buddha. Don't worry, you just need to contain Xing Pheasant. Fang Ye said to Ace and others, and accelerated his body again, looking for Akainu. Kizaru was seriously injured and temporarily lost his fighting ability. Although Akainu was not injured as badly as Kizaru, Fang Ye still couldn't dare to underestimate it. After all, in the original plot, Akainu took over the position of Marshal after the Warring States period resigned. And defeated Aokiji, which is enough to show his strength. Bang! Not far away, the Warring States period and Shiro, who had turned into golden Buddhas, Beard punched him. The golden shockwave collided with Whitebeard's shockwave and exploded instantly. Fang Ye glanced at it and continued to concentrate on looking for Akainu. He was extremely fast and ran quickly on the battlefield. From time to time, there were Marines being beaten up by Fang Ye's fist, whether it was an ordinary soldier or a lieutenant general, they were almost no match for Fang Ye. After a while, a large part of the Navy's formation was cleared by Fang Ye again. Run quickly, the murderer is coming. Don't try to attack him, his defense is so terrifying that even cannonballs can't do much damage to him. Seeing Fang Ye's figure, the Navy immediately fled in all directions. Fang Ye was too terrifying. His record in this war has reached a terrifying number. Sighing, Fang Ye stopped trying to fight them. The Navy fled in all directions, Fang Ye passed unimpeded on the battlefield. From time to time, 2 lieutenant generals would pop out, but they were of no use. Just blow them up with one punch. It turns out to be here. Fanya stopped and looked at the ground that was melted into a deep pit at his feet. Fanya's eyes were dazzled. If nothing else, Akainu must be inside. Boom. Fanya did not choose to jump in directly, but a punch hit the ground. The ground, which was already full of cracks, instantly shattered, and a big pit was created by Fanya. Boom. 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 Fanya kept punching, and the big pit in front of him was getting deeper and deeper. Although it doesn't have the same terrifying effect as Whitebeard. But with every punch he landed, gravel also flew away, and cracks centered on the place where the fist landed, spreading out like tree roots. As Fanya continued to punch, the cave gradually came into view. Akainu, get out. Fanya shouted low and punched the entrance of the cave seriously. Boom. The cave was shattered and gravel flew. The smoke and dust dispersed, and Fanya clearly saw a person squatting at the bottom of the cave. Akainu. Only seeing that his breath was weak, he was trying his best to recover from his injuries. Fanya would not wait for him to recover from his injuries before fighting again, so he punched him decisively. Akainu, take your life. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 154. Fanya takes action without mercy. The whole person jumped up, gathered momentum with his right fist and then punched it out. Akainu looked horrified. Seeing this punch falling from the sky, he turned around and ran away. There was also a wound on his abdomen made by Whitebeard's knife, and he was bleeding continuously. Akainu turned around and ran away. He had already consumed a lot of energy in the battle with Whitebeard. So far, I haven't recovered yet. He looked at Fanya with a ferocious face, and he was actually a little scared. In the previous battles, Fanya had defused his killing moves against Whitebeard several times. So far, except for the damage caused by his sneak attack on Whitebeard, the rest is almost zero. Akainu used the last of his energy and punched forward with his molten right fist, melting the rock instantly. At the same time, one jumped in. You can't run away. Fanya didn't get in. The hole was too narrow. If Akainu used his killing move inside, he would have no choice but to resist. Fanya stood on the ground with twinkling eyes. He judged Akainu's position from the constant vibrations and temperature coming from his feet. Fanya stood there with murderous intent on display. For a moment, no one stepped forward to stop him. Suddenly, Fanya shot out a ray of light from his eyes and punched forward. Boom! How could the ground, which had been hollowed out at the bottom, block Fanya's punch that could explode the mountain? The ground exploded instantly, with almost no resistance. Akainu's figure appeared in Fanya's sight. Hell dog! Akainu spat out a mouthful of blood, roared and fired his strongest blow. However, no matter how concealed he was, he still couldn't escape Fanya's sense of crisis. Fanya turned his body sideways and retreated quickly. This punch he failed to hit, and Akainu's eyes showed a fierce look, extremely ferocious. You bastard, I swear I will kill you. After saying that, Akainu's body exploded and was divided into several pieces of lava. It flew out in 4 directions. Don't let him get away. Marco noticed the fighting here, and at the same time saw that Akainu was extremely weak now, and immediately got out of the battle with Aokiji. Look for them separately. Fanya shouted low. Marco nodded and shot out in the opposite direction to Fanya. Fanya's speed exploded. He ran wildly on the ground, as if flying close to the ground. He knocked several marines away. Fanya caught up with a piece of molten lava and punched him without hesitation. Boom! The molten lava was scattered and sputtered around. If this was the incarnation of Akainu, he would definitely die. But Fanya's eyes were cold and cold. shook his head. That's not it. Looking at the exploding molten lava, Fang Ye no longer hesitated and rushed towards the nearest molten mass again. Stop him quickly. There was a loud shout beside him, and a strong man stopped in front of Fang Ye. The man was extremely muscular and had a broad chest. His black hair was tied into a wild ponytail and stretched to one side, with a cigarette in his mouth. He pointed the steel sword in his hand at Fang Ye. It was covered with blood. Apparently many pirates died under his sword. You bastard, you unexpectedly attacked General Akainu. Don't even think about passing by unless you step on my body. The bulging muscles all over the Lieutenant General's body prove his strength. Similarly, this is also the source of his confidence. The Lieutenant General believes that with his own strength, he can compete with Fang Ye and buy some time for General Akainu. Seeing the ball of lava flew further and further away, Fang Ye's eyes were stern. I don't have time to fool around with you. Stop talking nonsense. The man didn't say anything, and he held the steel knife straight for Fang Ye's throat. It was a killing move. Fang Ye looked at the blow in front of him, and his crisis sensor was triggered extremely weakly, almost negligibly. Court death. With a loud shout, Fang Ye punched out without mercy. He wanted to fight quickly. Clang. The collision between the fist and the steel knife made a tooth-piercing sound. The next second, the steel knife shattered inch by inch. In the Lieutenant General's disbelieving eyes, Fang Ye's fist hit him straight in the chest. Bang, his broad chest was blown out like a piece of paper in front of Fang Ye without any suspense. A big hole. The wind of the fist stirred in his body, blowing out all the broken internal organs. Boom. The heart was directly shattered, and the Lieutenant General instantly lost all life breath and lay straight on the ground. Die. Fang Ye wiped his hands and shot out again. On the other side, Marco also exploded a ball of lava, not Akainu. Then, amid the exclamations of many Navy, he got entangled with a very powerful Lieutenant General. The man fought and retreated, but kept pestering Marco, causing a lot of trouble. Get out of here. Marco was so anxious that he kicked the man hard. The Lieutenant General was knocked away and he vomited blood. However, the man actually stood up again and looked at Marco with a sad smile. I won't let you pass. Looking at this man, Marco's heart moved. He really didn't want to kill this real man if he could. But this is war, and kindness to the enemy is cruelty to oneself. Marco, who has always been rational, was no exception this time. He looked at the person in front of him with cold eyes, gathering momentum under his feet. You're a man, but this is war, so go to hell. Marco's whole body was wrapped in azure flames, and a crane claw passed through the Lieutenant General's chest. He didn't regret at all, his body flashed, and he rushed towards the molten mass closest to him as fast as possible. Bang! Marco directly used his most powerful killing move, Phoenix Seal. Watching the ball of molten lava explode, Marco's eyes did not relax at all. It's fake again. Turning around, Marco flew quickly in the direction of Fang Ye, at the same time shouting, "Be careful, Akainu is right there with you. Learn." Fang Ye responded in a low voice, gradually approaching the ball of rapidly flying lava. A serious punch. With a loud shout, Fang Ye used all his strength. A fist that was enough to blow up a hill came with a bang. Brat, it's still early. Suddenly, a voice came from the lava, and it was Akainu. At the same time, a huge fist punched out from inside, and instantly collided with Fang Ye. Boom. Fang Ye did not dodge, and faced the seriously injured Akainu head-on. Bang. Fang Ye collided with the huge molten fist, and he didn't lose at all. Although Akainu was seriously injured, his performance was equally astonishing. Boy, hold on. Seeing the fight breaking out here, Marco shouted a reminder and flew at full speed. After one punch failed, Fang Ye charged up his left fist and punched again. Bang! Two fists collided with Akainu's molten fist at the same time, and unexpectedly knocked it out. He was hit so hard that he flew out. The molten lava made a sizzling sound and gradually materialized. After a while, Akainu showed his original shape, with blood spurting from his mouth, and fell to the ground and rolled out. Akainu was he collapsed to the ground like a dead dog. His face was ferocious, and the severe pain in his body reminded him that the internal organs cracked by Whitebeard were even more seriously injured under Fang Ye's punch. Go to hell Akainu, Cranepaw. Historical color activated. Akainu rolled over quickly and avoided Marco's fatal blow. He got up in a hurry. Akainu looked at the two of them with a cold expression. Today, you both are going to die. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 155. Akainu was covered in dust, mixed with blood, and was in a miserable state. Even so, he is still a general, one of the 3 generals of the Navy. Even if he is in danger or seriously injured, his domineering spirit is still released. Akainu stood there, straightening his torn hat. He stood up straight and looked at the two of them with neither sadness nor joy. At this moment, he no longer felt embarrassed about being forced into danger, and he was even full of confidence. General Akainu. Do not come. There were Marines around who wanted to rush up, but Akainu stopped him with a voice. One of the 2 people in front of him was the captain of the Whitebeard squadron. Only people with terrifying strength can achieve this position. The other one, although Akainu didn't know name, but he has been forced into danger several times, and his strength is definitely not inferior to that of the captain's. Akainu's move is also to avoid unnecessary casualties. The Navy stays away from this place. Akainu shouted loudly, and his whole body turned into lava. This is his last strength, he must kill 2 people at the same time. Otherwise, he will definitely be killed. Fang Ye's eyes were cold and he stood a few meters away from Akainu. He could feel that a terrifying attack was brewing in Akainu's body at this moment. If you resist forcefully, you will most likely end up dying together. But he is not all pirates, he just comes to the forbidden area for trial. It's not worth dying here. Marco, watch out for his attacks, they are scary. Fang Ye reminded Marco, who was not far away, and looked at Akainu again. Hearing Fang Ye's reminder, Marco nodded subconsciously and did not dare to underestimate it. In an instant, his body ignited with azure flames, his whole body transformed into a phoenix. This was his strongest state. The next second, Akainu's body quickly swelled, and there seemed to be some great terror brewing inside. Meteor volcano. With a loud shout, Akainu's bulging part was transferred to his fists, and he kept punching towards the sky. Every time he punched, Akainu's bulging fists became smaller by 1 point. Until the end, it returned to the size of an ordinary fist, with blood dripping from it. At the same time, he also lost all his strength and fell to the ground on his back. Hide quickly! Fang Ye shouted loudly, and his body flashed. Taking advantage of the crisis sensing, Fang Ye kept rolling to avoid the massive meteorites falling from the sky. He didn't have the terrifying strength of Whitebeard, so he didn't dare to resist. An accident, it is possible to be hit by a meteorite, causing inevitable injuries. Marco relied on his own speed to quickly circle in the sky, while escaping outside the scope of the meteor volcano. Although Marco did not have the bug crisis sense like Fang Ye, but with his terrifying recovery ability and domineering power, he did not suffer any fatal injuries. Bang! Fang Ye continued to dodge, but the density of the meteor volcano was too terrifying, so he had to take action. With one punch, the huge meteorite was broken into pieces, smashing to the ground. A huge amount of meteorites fell on the ground, turning the area into a sea of molten fire. Malinfando, who was already in danger, was even worse. Bang, 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 terrifying collisions continued from all directions. Came from the industry, and everyone looked here with horrified expressions. It's really scary. Some people took a breath, looking at the scene of Fang Ye holding the meteorite with his fist, as if they saw some kind of monster. It would be great if such a monster were on our side. It is because he is not a navy that the current situation is caused. General Akainu, we will remember you. What the hell? General Akainu is not dead yet. Don't say so much, it's not certain whether you can survive. The battle on Fang Ye's side lasted for a full minute. Finally, the sky became clear, and the massive meteorites were either avoided or shattered by Fang Ye. Fang Ye stepped forward and walked towards Akainu, who was slumped aside, his eyes cold. What a monster! Looking at Fang Ye, who was not injured, Akainu sighed weakly. My justice! Looking at his fist, Akainu fell into thought. It was promised that in the face of justice, the evil pirates would be crushed, so why didn't it work? Still, is there something wrong with my own justice? Looking at the brooding Akainu, Fang Ye's eyes were cold, ready to give him the final blow. He doesn't want to have long nights and lots of dreams. Suddenly, a huge uneasiness surged in Fang Ye's heart. My scalp is numb, and my hands are even trembling slightly. Crisis sensing. This is the first time for such a strong sense of crisis. Without any reason, Fang Ye kicked on the ground and flew out. Run. Fang Ye waved his hand towards Marco, who also wanted to give Akainu the final blow, and motioned him to run. The next second, Akainu, who was leaning on the ground, was all red. The hat he had been wearing for a long time was instantly ignited, along with the rest of his body. The navy uniform was turned into ashes. He's going to blow himself up. Fang Ye's eyes were shocked. He couldn't believe that Akainu would do such a thing. He saw Akainu's body bulging up instantly, like a balloon stretched to the limit. The next second, Akainu's whole body was like a huge balloon. The bomb exploded. Boom! Countless hot molten lava was sprayed in all directions by the impact. The ground was melted, and the corpse of the Navy pirate was instantly ignited and then burned, not even the bones were left. Feel it facing the terrifying temperature in front of him, Fang Ye speeded up again. Finally, he escaped from the attack range of Akainu's self-destruction. Fang Ye took a breath, barely suppressed the remaining reaction of the crisis sensor, and looked back. Akainu's the power of the move was huge. With him as the center, a bottomless pit formed, almost burning through Marinavando. Marco stood further away, his chest rising and falling violently. Looking at the scene in front of him, he was full of fear in his heart. If he hadn't believed Fang Ye just now, or if he had reacted just a little slower, he had already been affected by Akainu's attack. Seeing the horrific damage caused by Akainu's self-destruction, Marco was sure that if he was even a little bit contaminated, he would definitely be seriously injured. Marco flapped his wings a few times and stood next to Fang Ye, regaining his human form. Dead, completely dead. Fang Ye had no expression on his face, looking at the disfigured battlefield destroyed by Akainu. It seems that he really wants to use the two of us as his backing at the risk of his life. Marco wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and patted Fang Ye on the shoulder. Thank you. I'll buy you a drink when I get back to the ship. After saying that, Marco's eyes began to become indifferent, even a little depressed, and he said softly, I don't know if I can get back to the ship alive. Snapped. Fang Ye slapped Marco on the shoulder and looked at him seriously. Since we don't know if we can go back, why not kill a few more Marines now? Fang Ye pointed to the remaining navy and continued. If you can get back to the ship, you won't be able to escape from this drink. Okay, haha. Marco just laughed twice when he felt a huge force coming from his shoulders. he was being dragged out by Fang Ye. "You two brats, go to hell. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest." Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 156. Warring States, who was fighting with Whitebeard, immediately looked over when he heard the deafening sound. The next second, he noticed Akainu, who blew himself up. Suddenly, he became furious. After getting rid of the Whitebeard, he slapped the two of them with his palm. "Go to hell, you bastards!" Boom! Marco was dragged out by Fang Ye. Looking at the scene in front of him, he broke out in cold sweat again. He almost died at the hands of the Warring States. Fang Ye couldn't help but look back and was shocked. "I saw that the Warring States had transformed into a golden giant Buddha, extremely bright. Where his palm fell, beneath the billowing smoke, a large pit in the shape of a palm suddenly appeared in sight." After assessing the power of this move, Fang Ye couldn't help but take a breath. "Is this the palm technique that fell from the sky? It's really scary. This is much heavier than the one that hit Wang Lufei." After sighing in admiration, Fang Ye ran away. "You bastard, you still want to run?" Seeing the two people escaping from his palm, Zhenguo became even more angry. The entire golden giant Buddha shot up into the sky with a flick of the ball. At the same time, he stretched his right palm forward and stamped it towards the two people. Bang! Zhenguo's palm was Whitebeard caught it steadily with a big knife. "Warring States. How could you be so depressed after so many years of not seeing each other, and actually attack a junior?" Whitebeard looked at Warring States and grinned with a mocking look on his face. Warring States, who was already angry, was even more furious now. "Ah!" With a loud roar, he used his golden palm to attack Whitebeard again. "Welcome!" Whitebeard also shouted, and punched him forward. The two collided, and the earth suddenly shattered. The golden wave and the shock wave spread in both directions, causing countless casualties along the way. Even the aftermath is not something that ordinary people can withstand. "You saved my life again." Marco was put down by Fang Ye and looked at Fang Ye gratefully. Although he has the ability to recover, he is not immortal. Akainu's final attack and Sengoku's full blow could kill him without even a chance to recover. Fang Ye waved his hand, and the two men were fighting behind him. At this time, Whitebeard has already begun his second collision with Warring States. The aftermath of the battle between the two was extremely terrifying, with countless Navy pirates vomiting blood and flying backwards. Fang Ye sighed, he couldn't interfere in such a battle. Although Whitebeard was seriously injured, he still did not lose in the fight against Warring States. Bang, 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 the two collided several times, producing a terrifying effect. Around Marinavando, the ocean frozen by the blue pheasant continues to break. The sea water gushes out from the broken ice, and is attracted by the battle between the two, and keeps slapping against Marinavando. Boom! The broken Malinfando couldn't hold on, and a piece of it broke into pieces and sank to the bottom of the sea. Malinfando is going to be destroyed. This island can't hold on any longer, run away. Once the water reaches the shore, do I have a chance to kill the Esper? Don't think about it, if the waves hit us, we won't be able to survive. The surrounding navy roared in despair, and some began to retreat. And this person was like a trigger, and other people around him ran away. Don't run. Looking at the countless fleeing figures, Sengoku yelled. But in the face of the disaster, Sengoku's voice had no effect. For a time, those on the Navy side were killed and those who escaped ran away. The pirates' offensive was overwhelming, and it didn't take long to kill them. Naval Headquarters ruins. Warring States, don't be distracted. Seeing the pirates' fighting momentum going forward, Whitebeard couldn't help but laugh, and punched the furious Sengoku again. Hateful. Sengoku struck out again and fought with Whitebeard. Boom. The already broken marine fando was now even more in danger. Looking at the gradually cracking feet, Warring States finally understood. Whitebeard kept fighting with himself, for what they wanted was to completely destroy marine fando. Looking at the pirates rushing forward, Sengoku suddenly calmed down. The navy was defeated. Completely defeated. This battle was caused by the navy. They released the demon-slaying order and publicly executed Ace, in order to lure the Whitebeard pirates over and kill them in one fell swoop. However, from the very beginning, when Whitebeard coded and sneaked, the navy's defenses began to break. Then, Kizaru was seriously injured. Aokiji until now he also had a fierce fight with the captains of the Whitebeard pirates and Crocodile. The most serious thing was that Akainu, who was seriously injured by Whitebeard, faced the pursuit of the pirate who jumped out of nowhere. In the end, they chose to die together. But, even so, the pirate was still standing not far away intact, watching the battle between him and Whitebeard coldly. Warring States turned his head subconsciously, and instantly met Fang Yi's sight. Almost. In an instant, he understood. What kind of monster was Akainu facing? Although he was not as powerful as the generals and the four emperors, the look in his eyes when he looked at Sengoku was so calm. Even Sengoku could see that that person he didn't hide his thoughts about himself at all. This was a look that wanted to kill him. Unable to help himself, a layer of cold sweat broke out on Sengoku's back. He began to be afraid. Realizing that he was beginning to be afraid, Sengoku felt even more terrified. Surprise! You know, what he ate was the Buddha fruit, which gave him the spirit to transform into a giant Buddha, and also gave him wisdom like a Buddha. He was so close to perfection, but he actually started to be afraid. Stop! After Sengoku and Whitebeard exchanged punches, they retreated decisively and stopped fighting. Whitebeard stopped in response. He believed that Sengoku would not make a sneak attack. After all, Sengoku represents the navy. What do you want to say? Whitebeard looked at Warring States with a smile and said indifferently. Whitebeard, we lost this battle and underestimated you, but this does not mean that the navy has lost to you. After saying that, he looked tangled, gritted his teeth for the last time, and said to the navy behind him. Retreat. This is the navy headquarters, we, retreat to where? Warring States glared suddenly, and with such overwhelming momentum, he knocked the talkative marine away. Retreat. Warring States waved his hand and led the navy to board the naval battleship. Before leaving, he glanced at Whitebeard coldly. Let's wait for the navy's revenge, hope you survive until then. Seeing Whitebeard smiling without saying a word, Sengoku snorted and left with a smile. Seeing the naval battleship disappear from sight, the pirates were ecstatic. Throwing down their weapons, they began to take the wine and meat from the ship to celebrate stand up. The navy is nothing more than that, the base camp was captured by us. Ace laughed playfully, pretending to be relaxed. Marco patted his shoulder and said nothing. He looked around, wanting to fulfill his promise. Hey, where is that pirate? Marco then remembered. From beginning to end, he didn't know the name of the pirate who saved his 2 lives. Who? Ace came over and asked curiously. Marco shook his head and said with a smile. Nothing. Look, what is that? A pirate discovered a ship slowly approaching the shore and quickly reported it. Whitebeard looked over and immediately smiled and waved his hand. On the shore, the red Firth of the red-haired pirates had just docked. The red-haired man hurried down. Give me some face and stay, finished. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 157. Ah, why can't I see a single navy person? Red-haired Shanks walked off the ship and didn't see the spectacular scene he imagined. He didn't even see a marine. He put away his domineering aura and kept walking towards the interior of Marine Fando. This Malinfando was really ruined. Ben Beckman, the only vice-captain of the red-haired pirates, followed Shanks, looked at the damaged Marine Fando, and sighed. He had grey hair and a striking cross-sword on his knife-like face. Scar. Ben Beckman held a cigarette in his mouth, his right hand cautiously pressed on the rifle at his waist, and cautiously looked around. He began to wonder whether this was a trap set by the Navy. Ah! Shanks. The two of them were attracted by a familiar voice. They turned their heads and looked over, only to see a long arm coming towards them. Bang! The red-haired man laughed and took Wang Lufi's hand. He pulled hard, and Wang Lufi was 2 feet away. In front of people. Shanks, and Uncle Beckman, why are you all here? Wang Lufi looked at the old acquaintances in front of him with excitement. It was these 2 people who started his journey as a pirate. You are still as reckless as before. Beckman smiled and sighed, and put down his hand on the rifle. Since Luffy is so lively, the possibility of this being a trap is very small. On the other side, Whitebeard led Marco and AI, the squad leader headed by SI, greeted him with a smile. Red hair, long time no see. Yes. Shanks responded with a smile, I just met him a few days ago. After being choked, Whitebeard smiled even more happily. Then, the red-haired Shanks asked what happened here. Marine Fando was destroyed like this. In addition, why can't there be a single navy from the Navy headquarters? Marco stepped forward and told Shanks briefly and concisely. Oh? An unknown pirate saved you several times. Ben Beckman raised his eyebrows, obviously very interested in the character Marco said. Marco nodded. That brother is very powerful, very strong, and very calm. He saved me from fire and water several times. Shanks sighed and looked at Beckman. It sounds similar to you. Beckman couldn't help but nodded. So, doesn't the Whitebeard pirates win a great victory? Shanks' eyes widened, looking forward to Whitebeard's affirmative answer. Whitebeard nodded, yeah. Very good. Shanks looked very happy and said to the pirate behind him. Go to the boat to get wine and meat, and have a grand banquet to celebrate. Good. The other side. This war was broadcast live to the whole world through telephone bugs. Originally, the Navy wanted the world to see how they defeated the Whitebeard pirates and demonstrated their glory as sea supremacy. But now, he was defeated by the pirates and fled. Even the Navy headquarters was occupied by the pirates. Did the Navy lose? In the square, the huge screen was dark and completely cut off by the Navy. But every scene just now, including the scene where the Warring States period announced the end of the battle and the Navy retreated, was firmly remembered in their hearts. This war was miserable. Incomparable, there is no doubt that it has left a deep impression on the hearts of the general public. Everyone is recalling the scene just now and talking about it. This is just one of the Yonko pirates, how could they defeat the Navy? I could tell from the beginning that the Whitebeard pirates would win. At first, the Whitebeard pirates escaped the Navy's ambush with almost no injuries. Even the appearance of that pirate directly destroyed 2 of the 4 Navy cannons. Indeed, it all seems to be going really smoothly, but the Navy also has countless experts, so I wouldn't be surprised which side wins. There are also many masters in the Whitebeard pirates, right? The captains of each division are not ordinary people, but the one who impressed me the most was the unknown pirate who destroyed 2 cannons with 1 leap. Me too, that pirate looks pretty. What kind of infatuation are you doing now? That's a murderous pirate. Listening to everyone's discussion, Rayleigh leaned up and took out the wine bottle from his arms, took a sip, and then laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, the Whitebeard pirates really gave me a lot of surprises. In addition to paying attention to Whitebeard's battle in the audience, he spent the rest of the time paying attention to the two brothers Wang Lufei. After confirming that they survived, Rayleigh's solemn expression relaxed a little. The rest was what Fang Ye brought to him. Shocked. After saving the day from danger several times, Rayleigh didn't know whether to call him a wisdom general or a lucky general. Old, old, old. He laughed, and Rayleigh drank down the wine in his hand. Boom. Sara, the commander-in-chief of the world government's entire army, punched the deck hard. You were defeated by pirates in front of the whole world, you really gave the Navy a lot of face. After the Navy warship left Marine Fando, it went directly to the world government. At this moment, facing Sara's scolding, Sengoku lowered his head and remained silent. This war was exactly what he planned, but now he shot himself in the face. Feet, embarrassed in front of the whole world. Forget it, Garp, go and ask everyone who can move below to help the health army carry the seriously injured, and don't add any more unnecessary casualties. Song waved his hand towards Garp and looked at Sengoku. Things are irreversible. Think about what you can do now to best restore people's hearts. Warring States looked embarrassed, but at the same time he didn't hide anything and told his final plan. It was nothing more than the relocation of the Navy headquarters and his views on several candidate generals. Now we should mobilize all our strength to find the devil fruit left by Akainu must not fall into the hands of pirates. Sengoku is very calm now and said the most important thing at the moment. Although Akainu died in this war, there is no doubt about his strength. The ability of the rock fruit is naturally obvious to all, and Sara immediately issued an order to fight all over the world. The world is trying its best to find the whereabouts of the lava fruit. In addition, the bounty of the Whitebeard pirates will also be changed. Sara brought Sengoku to the world government, took out a pile of papyrus, and asked Sengoku to draft. Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, has the bounty raised to 5.5 billion belly, still the highest bounty in the world. Marco, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates 1st Division, has raised the bounty to 1.5 billion belly. Captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, Wang Luffy, the bounty is raised to 400 million belly. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, has raised the bounty to 700 million belly. Sengoku looked calm and wrote down the latest bounty for everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates. Finally, his eyes flashed and he remembered the look that frightened him. It was precisely because of this person that, in a sense, this battle had a great impact and promotion. What's even more disgusting is that until now, Sengoku doesn't even know the name of the pirate. The Whitebeard Pirates, unknown pirates, have a bounty of 1.4 billion belly. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 158. At the same time, Fang Ye stood in that familiar alien space, completely unaware of how much the Navy valued him after he left. The moment Sengoku announced the end of the battle, the time for the mission just ran out, and he was teleported out. At this moment, Fang Ye is waiting for the reward given to him by the Forbidden Land. Congratulations! In this forbidden area, you performed extremely well and changed the direction of the war on the top. You have won the highest stage mission reward. You have obtained 200 points of free attributes, which can be distributed freely. Complete the highest stage mission and eliminate a naval admiral, and receive additional rewards, Overlord Haki, Armed Haki, and Knowledge Haki. As a series of prompts sounded. Next, a three-color light appeared out of thin air in the alien space, shrouding Fang Ye in it. The light disappeared, and Fang Ye felt the changes in his body. The original invisible willpower now became it is easy to control and can even cover the body surface. With a thought, Fang Ye's arm was instantly covered, as if wearing an invisible armor. Armed and domineering. Its function, Fang Ye could not know better. If it were not armed color Haki, this battle may be a little simpler. As for the other two colors, Fangye is the only one in this alien space and cannot experiment. After doing all this, Fangye had a look of surprise on his face. Originally, what he is looking forward to is getting a devil fruit that can fly. This makes up for the shortcoming of not being able to fight in the air. But this time the Forbidden Land reward is 3-color haki, which is also very buggy in one piece. Similarly, Fangye's 3-color domineering energy, like his innate skill flame, will become stronger as his mental power increases. Immediately, Fangye added all the newly obtained 200 points of free attributes to his mental power. Then, his attribute panel changed again. Name, Fangye. Race, human. Physique, 3253. Spirit, 1166. Strength, 3249. Agility, 3011. Bloodline, Saitama physique, awakened. Super talent, fiery flame. Skills, the devil comes to the world, can be upgraded, overlord haki, armed haki, and wisdom haki. Fangye wrapped the armed haki around his left arm, and then slammed down with his right fist. Boom! With Fangye as the center, a small explosion occurred. Hiss! Fangye bared his teeth and his right hand was numb. I didn't expect that the combination of armed color domineering and my physique could reach this level. Furthermore, Fangye also learned from the information that his other two domineering powers can reach the highest level with the growth of mental power. The upper level of Overlord color domineering is to have the power to stand above 10,000 people, the qualifications of a king. To reach that point, it is not just about shocking and stunning the enemy, but also achieving a real coercive effect. Similarly, Fangye can also reach the highest level of seeing, hearing and sex. Can feel the enemy's thinking and convey his own consciousness to others. It affects the minds and thoughts of others and creates a strong resonance, and can even change the other person's values and ideology. When these two work together, the effect can be terrifying. It can directly break the enemy's mind and even make him switch sides to your side. The increase that the 3-color domineering power gave Fangye was undoubtedly very powerful. If he were to face Akainu in his current state, not to mention killing him instantly with one punch, he could always hit him with a few more punches. The most important thing is that with the addition of 200 points of free attributes, Fangye's spirit has exceeded 1000. With a thought in his mind, the raging flames enveloped his hands again. Different from last time, this time not only the heat but also the lethality are much stronger. The increase in Pochian's spirit can even allow him to become elemental. Although only a little bit, like a palm or something. But it's already scary. The lounge at the exit of Forbidden Area number 4 was full of people. Among them, a considerable number are businessmen. As we all know, the Forbidden Area number 4 is called the Forbidden Area that can change destiny. It's precisely because it contains devil fruit that can change a person's physique. Although devil fruit has the side effect of turning into a landlubber, everyone is still rushing to buy one. So, there were these businessmen. Some of them are individuals, and some are sent by certain families. The purpose was to buy a devil fruit for their unpromising family heir. This will give you powerful talents with unlimited potential. If you go to other forbidden places in the future, you will also get good reviews, forming a virtuous cycle. Suddenly, there was an exclamation from the crowd. Everyone's attention was attracted to it. Look, Golden Legend. Everyone was stunned, then turned their heads and stared at the entrance. Sure enough, the exit of the number 4 Forbidden Land was filled with golden light. The dazzling light was very dazzling. According to legend, the highest mission evaluation was achieved. Quiet, very eerie silence. Everyone held their breath and looked at the figure gradually coming out of the golden light. Out! Someone in the crowd shouted, and then everyone gathered around. Of course, quite a few of them were businessmen. Sir, If you have a devil fruit, why don't you sell it to me? I'll give you whatever price you want, I guarantee you'll be satisfied. A businessman came up to Fang Ye, stretched out his hand to open his coat, and showed the check inside. Big brother, sell me the devil fruit. If you give me a price, if you dare to say no, I will not be a bad guy. A strong man came over, another businessman. You know, first come, first served, okay. I came first, sir. If you buy anything from me in the future, you will get a 10% discount. You're so stupid, big brother, I'll give you 20% off. The strong man patted his chest proudly. 30% off. Are you okay, sir? 40% off. 50% off. The two businessmen had deep pockets and started a price war. There is no way, devil fruit has a price but no market on the black market. As long as you have one, if you find any family and ask for a high price, they won't even frown. You two, stop arguing, they are all gone. An enthusiastic citizen silently patted the shoulders of the two businessmen and reminded them kindly. Only then did the two realize that Fang Ye had gone somewhere long ago. Go find it quickly, I will give you 10,000 yuan to whoever finds it. Give me the first information and I will give you 20,000. 30,000 for me. You rough guy, 40,000. Fang Ye didn't want to hear the two of them engaging in a price war. Besides, he doesn't have a devil fruit. Relying on his amazing agility, he quickly squeezed out of the crowd. I looked at the time, it was just a little after 7 in the afternoon. It's time to go home and have dinner, Fang Ye nodded, thoughtfully. The next most important thing is the Forbidden Area number 5. It is said that although the Forbidden Area number 5 is less dangerous than the Forbidden Area number 4, it should not be particularly easy. Nodding, Fang Ye left by car alone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 159. Early the next morning, Fang Ye returned to school. A few months ago, Professor Zhou handed over the information on Forbidden Area number 4 and Forbidden Area number 5 to the students. A considerable number of them chose the Forbidden Area number 5. Because it seems that the content of Forbidden Land number 5 is relatively simple. Fang Ye sat in his seat and took out the information on the number 5 Forbidden Area that he had been given before from the drawer. He planned to brush up on it. When I turned the first page, I saw a young man with short orange hair. His pupils were lavender, with many strange circles in them. There were several black sticks stuck across the bridge of his nose. The man in the painting is wearing a black robe with a red soaring cloud pattern painted on it, which is very eye-catching. Fang Ye nodded and immediately knew the person's identity. The man's name was Yahiko, and he died young. His image at this moment is exactly the way of heaven among the famous Pain 6 paths. From the world of Naruto. Then, Fang Ye turned to the second page. The portrait on the second page is of the leader of Konoha village at that time. Tsunade, known as the Fifth Hokage. She also has another nickname that she is known by in the world of Naruto. The legendary Big Fat Sheep. This is why she inherited her grandfather, the first Hokage, who likes gambling. She is also addicted to gambling, and always gives a lot of money to her opponents. No need to ask. Forbidden Area number 5. It's Fang Ye's previous life, one of the 3 migrant workers comics that is as famous as One Piece. Naruto. Fang Ye, are you planning to go to World No 5? A gentle voice sounded, and Fang Ye looked up. Professor Zhou. Fang Ye nodded and did not deny it. Let me explain this world to you, I just have some time. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Zhou. Won't. Professor Zhou has heard of Fang Ye's name. He has won the Golden Legend twice and solved a crisis in a forbidden area. He is very optimistic about Fang Ye. As he spoke, he pulled up a chair, sat across from Fang Ye, and began to explain. In fact, this is very simple. It is similar to the number 4 forbidden area. It is also a battle between two forces. One side is the Hidden Leaf village belonging to the Country of Fire. It was founded by the first generation and the second generation Hokage. However, they have died long ago and are now the granddaughter of the first generation. Serve as the fifth Hokage. The other one is the Hidden Rain village occupied by an organization called Akatsuki, which belongs to the Kingdom of Rain. They have the means to stimulate the potential of ninjas, have many incredible skills, and are very difficult to deal with. A long time ago, the two sides had fought many battles, known as the Ninja War, and this time, the assassin organization was a unilateral invasion of the wood industry. Hearing this, Fang Ye became more sure of his suspicion, equals. The time period in the forbidden area of number 5 is exactly the plot of Pain's Six Paths invading the wood industry. It is also a plot that has broken the hearts of countless Naruto fans. Because Orochimaru invaded the wood industry before Hidden Leaves village, the sacrifice of the third Hokage, plus a large number of exodus. In addition, Jiraiya was discovered when he invaded Hidden Rain village alone, and finally died in Hidden Rain village. At this time, the high-end combat power of Hidden Leaves village was serious. Insufficient. Coupled with the emergence of Pain's Six Paths reincarnation it broke the original logic of ninja battles. Generally speaking, the ninjas in Konoha Hidden Village cannot break through Pain's Six Paths defense, and the attack of Pain's Six Paths, Konoha Hidden the ninjas in the village were unable to defend themselves at all. The result was that the Six Paths of Pain were rampant in Konoha Hidden Village, and the ninjas could only be beaten passively and were completely unable to resist. After entering the forbidden area, as usual, you also have to make a choice. Professor Joe's voice continued, looking at Fang Ye seriously. The first is the camp, one is the Hidden Rain village and the other is the Hidden Leaf village. You have to choose one of them to join and fight with them. The mission is also divided into 3 stages. The first is a Megakure village, the primary stage is to kill the opponent's ninja, the intermediate stage is to prevent Konoha ninjas from sending information back to a Megakure village, and the advanced stage is to destroy Konoha. Speaking of this, Professor Joe stopped and took a sip of water before continuing. What's left is Konoha Hidden Village, which is relatively difficult. The low-level stage is to kidnap an Megakure ninja back to Konoha, the intermediate stage is to find out the god the Kyomegakure ninja calls, and the advanced stage is to kill the Kyomegakure ninja. God. After saying this, you should have a choice in mind. Professor Joe stared into Fang Ye's eyes. Fang Ye nodded and said, "That's right, Professor Joe, I have already made my choice." "Very good." Professor Joe nodded and continued. "If I had to choose, I would also choose a Megakure village. Although Konoha Ninja Village has a terrain advantage, it is obvious that a Megakure village has a stronger tactical combination. Moreover, the special attributes of Pain's Six Paths have a restraining effect on ninjas, and their overall strength is also stronger." After saying that, Professor Joe stood up and looked at Fang Ye with a smile. "It's still early, you can first look at the information in your hand to understand the opponent's strength. The task will be relatively easy to complete. Of course, don't be stupid enough to go head-to-head with the opponent's master. Similar to the Hokage of Konoha and the Six Paths of Pain in the Hidden Rain village, they can turn you into slag in minutes." As a reminder, Professor Joe left. Only then did Fang Ye notice that there were many people around him who were obviously here to steal his teacher. This is the forbidden area number 5. Although there are many masters in it, it is indeed simpler. Yeah, just choose Yuyan village without any thought. Follow that 6 paths to pick up loot. The low intermediate level missions are easy to complete. It is said that the rewards in the number 5 Forbidden Land are quite rich. What is one called? Sharingan, I heard it's very powerful. I've also heard that you can also get a ninja skill at the end, which is said to be similar to a talent skill and is very cost effective. Is it? No wonder many people are waiting for Forbidden Land number 5. It seems that my wait was not in vain. Listening to the sighs of the people around him, Fang Ye shook his head helplessly. The 6 paths of pain only sounded invincible, but in the original plot, Naruto came and killed him in the end. In addition, Fang Ye relied on the most, is his extremely powerful physical body. Pain's strongest reincarnation eye is mainly aimed at ninjutsu. But it happened, Fang Ye doesn't know ninjutsu. From a certain perspective, Fang Ye also has some restraint effect on Pain's 6 paths. Fang Ye didn't stay at school for long and returned home directly. First, he spent an hour completing today's exercise. After all, he was about to enter a dungeon, and Fang Ye didn't dare to overdo it, so he had to adjust his strength to the best. Then, he tried to contact Suzuki-Yu. After learning that the other party was in the Forbidden Area number 5, Fang Ye gave up. Could not be reached. With the addition of 3 colors of domineering power, Fang Ye's strength became much more terrifying than before. Not only is the attack power increased, but the combat method is also greatly improved. Fang Ye took his student ID card with him, walked out of the house, and went to the Forbidden Area number 5 alone. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 160. That little brother is so handsome. I really want to ask for my contact information. Do you think there's anything wrong with my makeup? It looks like my little brother is here to prepare to enter the Forbidden Area, so I'm going to ask for his contact information. There was endless discussion, but Fang Ye decisively chose to ignore it. Little brother. A girl in a short skirt jogged and stood in front of Fang Ye. Little brother, are you going to break into the Forbidden Area? Fang Ye looked her up and down and nodded. To be honest, this girl is really good looking. But Fang Ye has a girlfriend and doesn't want to talk to her more. Besides, compared with Suzuki-Yu, this person seems ordinary. Little brother, can you give me your contact information? I have very generous benefits for you. The girl raised her eyebrows and stopped Fang Ye, who was about to leave. Fang Ye didn't say anything, just looked at him quietly. The girl thought that Fang Ye didn't believe it, and was immediately ashamed and annoyed. What I said is true. I just came out of Forbidden Area number 5 some time ago, I have skills. Then he looked at Fang Ye with a mysterious face and said coaxingly. Give me your contact information and I will tell you. Not interested in. Fang Ye turned and walked away. He didn't have time to chat with this girl. Although it was still early, Fang Ye wanted to be among the first batch to enter the Forbidden Area. You. The girl was angry, bulging her hands on her hips, looking at Fang Ye's back and spitting out fragrance. The entrance to the Forbidden Area, like the Forbidden Area number 4, is also heavily guarded. They formed a line, leaving a spot open for those who were planning to break into the restricted area to pass through, while checking their ID cards. Professor Joe said that Forbidden Areas number 4 and 5 are controversial. So the importance of the two is almost equal. There are more people here than in the Forbidden Area number 4. Fang Ye made a rough count and found that there were at least 200 people. After filming for about an hour, it was finally Fang Ye's turn. 2 soldiers checked Fang Ye's ID and then let him in. After walking past the human wall, the inside suddenly opened up. Although a large number of young people were queuing up, the entrance to the Forbidden Area was still blocked. Fang Ye found someone with a shorter queue and waited quietly. Friends, do you want to form a team? At this time, a person quietly came over and whispered to Fang Ye. Fang Ye was stunned. Can this thing be formed into a team? The man seemed to see Fang Ye's confusion and patiently explained. At that time, we will all choose a camp, and then make a mark on the roadside that only we know. After meeting based on the mark, the two of us will help each other complete the task. It is said that the faster the task is completed, the better the reward will be. Fang Ye nodded. These people really do everything they can to get a better evaluation. Did you agree? The man became excited and said, there are 7 more teammates. Please stretch out your hand and I will mark it for you. Need not. Fang Ye shook his head, I won't join. Don't join, the man stopped and said. It's okay, I'll give you a mark too, if you think about it then I'll. As he said that, the man struck a few times in front of Fang Ye. It's in the shape of a weapon, easy to remember. So which camp do you choose? Fang Ye raised his head and asked. What camp? The man was stunned. No one has asked this before. Of course it's Yuyan village. Could it be that you? He looked at Fang Ye in disbelief. Sure enough, Fang Ye nodded and said. I choose Konoha Hidden Village, do you want to come with me? After hearing what Fang Ye said, several people around him came over and looked at him in disbelief. They were stunned for a while, and the person who finally asked Fang Ye turned around and muttered. If you don't add it, then don't add it. What are you pretending to do? Several other people also came over and echoed like they were admiring. Maybe you are really a fool, you have to choose Konoha Hidden Village. It is really sick not to join such a good opportunity. There is nothing abnormal for such people to choose Konoha Hidden Village. The people said and walked away. Fang Ye didn't say anything. Since the other party chose Yuyan Village and entered the forbidden area at the same time as him, the possibility of meeting is still very high. We meet in the mountains and rivers. Fang Ye looked at the backs of several people and smiled slightly, then turned away. Soon, the time reached 2 o'clock sharp. People queuing up at the entrance to the forbidden area filed in. Fang Ye followed the team and quickly stepped into the entrance. Exit for a second. He came to the familiar white preparation room. Please select the camp you want to join. Choice 1, Konoha Hidden Village. Choice 2, Yuyan Village. Fang Ye decisively chose Konoha Hidden Village. Just as he had planned before, there was no hesitation. In addition to confidence in his own strength, there were also great emotional factors. When I watched Naruto before, I felt in this plot, Fang Ye felt very sorry for Jiraiya's death. Similarly, after learning that Jiraiya had sacrificed, Naruto's abnormal reaction also made him feel very sad. Looking at those familiar characters, Fang Ye felt it is very likely that he will not be able to attack the people of Konoha Hidden Village. After making the choice, a white light flashed in front of Fang Ye. Then, his vision suddenly opened up, and Fang Ye was already standing in a village with very distinctive architecture. Looking up, go and see the iconic Hokage Rock. Looking at the familiar faces, Fang Ye sighed. If possible, he wanted to change the outcome of Jiraiya's sacrifice. He checked himself. In Fang Ye he is wearing relatively modern clothes. The only difference is that he has a forehead protector on his forehead. It is the logo of Konoha Ninja. This proves that Fang Ye is now an official ninja. Fang Ye is casual. I found a store and checked the time. I suddenly realized that today was the day when Jiraiya sneaked into the Hidden Rain village. Thank you. After thanking the shop owner, Fang Ye rushed straight to the junction of the 3 great kingdoms of fire, earth, and wind, where Yuyan village is located. After leaving Konoha village, Fang Ye's speed exploded. The strength was so great that each step was more than 10 meters away. The grass and rocks were trampled to pieces by Fang Ye, leaving pieces of footprints. The speed was so fast that even after images were left. As he ran, Fang Ye gradually discovered that the air had become humid. It should be arriving soon. Fang Ye gradually became convinced that the reason why Yuyan village is called this is because it rains for many years. Fang Ye took out the raincoat he bought in Konoha Hidden Village and wrapped himself up. Finally, Tower-shaped buildings appeared one after another. Within sight, this was the architectural symbol of Yuyan village. Fang Ye slowed down and began to move forward slowly, thinking about Yuyan village, trying not to reveal his position. After a while, Fang Ye successfully arrived at the entrance of Yuyan village. There was a huge stone next to it with 4 vertical bars carved on it. Suddenly, several ninjas wearing breathing masks appeared in front of Fang Ye and asked sharply, "Who?"